Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association is made up of 16 tribal chairmen, presidents, and chairpersons in the states of North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. The primary purpose of the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association is to unify, to defend the tribe's inherent treaty rights, to come together in a forum, to promote the welfare of the people, take up matters affecting the tribes, and to protect the sovereignty of each tribe. The purpose of this video is to take you on a journey to 4 reservations in South Dakota, to highlight the conditions in the areas of roads, housing, and schools that are in need of immediate attention. We first make our way to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation to meet with Oglala Sioux Tribal President John Yellowbird Steele. On our way, we stop near a community of Allen, South Dakota. Here there is a busy north-south roadway. The asphalt is lined with potholes and broken up asphalt, making for a precarious driving experience for any motorist. There you go. It's a pretty deep pothole. The roadway is hazardous and is one example of some of the conditions that face the Oglala Lakota Nation. With a land base of over 3,400 square miles, the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation is larger than both Delaware and Rhode Island combined. At the tribal headquarters, I asked President Steele why the BIA roads were in such poor condition.
I call it a criminal act. When the head of the BIA, in years and years past, changed the road regulations in CFR 25. And in the formula, he allowed tribes across the United States to use state and county roads as number of miles they were responsible for. And so I got rancherias in California with no trust acreages. I got Oklahoma with no trust acres. I got Alaskan villages up there with proposed roads that they get funded for every year. Annually they get funding for them, these proposed roads, and it's over permafrost, which will never be built. Never, never, never. And Alaska, this one little fishing village, had so much transportation money they couldn't spend it. They bought a bar and grill with it. BIA is changing the name from the Indian Reservation Roads Program, the IRR program, to the Tribal Transportation Program, the TTP program. I said, what the heck's wrong with Indian Reservations Roads? Well, what's wrong with that name, you know? That identifies what it's supposed to be for. But they took all the monies. Not only the large increases Congress put into roads, they took some of our historic monies, and we lost out to these small tribes. I saw where Oklahoma presented a check to the state of Oklahoma for $11 million to help fund the building of an interstate. Boy, what we could do with $11 million here on Pine Ridge. I just met with the schools I told you on Sunday, and they are very concerned about their school bus routes. I almost had a bus turnover in Manderson on the side of a hill that when it snowed here. And the school bus routes are a big concern to the schools because they tear up their vehicles trying to get kids to school.
President Steele also showed his frustration at the design of the infrastructure by the BIA.
And so what I've identified is I'm going to have to get with our congressional people, Senator Thune, Senator Rounds, and Congresswoman Nome, and affect the national legislation, which is up for renewal this year, and try to get some corrections to what the BIA did to us in the past, and see if I can affect it that way. I'm pretty sure we can get it done in that national legislation, so that's going to be our effort.
We would leave the tribal headquarters in Pine Ridge to travel 60 miles to the home of Kelly Young Bull Bear in Kyle, South Dakota, to examine up close the conditions of housing on Pine Ridge. Kelly shares a 2-bedroom residence with 8 family members.
The home that we're in is it's a low rent. And if you're on a list for low rent, Barbara's my mother, she's the head of household. Me and my kids are with her on her housing list. So we don't qualify for housing anywhere. We can't get no other housing. This is it. And this house is put on her land. And the challenge is that we maintain it as much as we can and try to take care of it as much as we can. But why should we do all that when it's a low rent? Why can't they, like, convert it to Barbara, like give it to her for home ownership? So maybe we can look for grants out there or something to better our home, make it bigger. There's like 8 of us living here in this 2-bedroom. And we do what we can, but the way they fixed the foundation, and this house has been here since 1984, and it's 2015. So in the basement, the cross space, it's all full of water. It's from the pipes being so old that they leak, and they come and fix it, but they still leak because it's old.
Oh, stand over here. Kelly's home is just one of many that are in need of desperate repair. Her sister Ladine shows the closet where she once called her room.
This is the closet. This used to be sleeping right here with the mattress, but now I sleep in the living room on the couch.
Children are sleeping like with each other, literally in rooms, like on the floor. You have 10 people sleeping in one room. That shouldn't be like that at all, you know. We should every single parent, every single family should have their own home. Why can't our tribe do that? Help our people, our families become sustainable, a permanent home for their future kids so they have a home. And, you know, maybe that might be a stop to what's going on out there. Our kids killing themselves, drinking, doing drugs, doing everything negativity. They need a permanent home. They need a permanency place where they know it's home to them.
Next on our journey, we travel to the Crow Creek Reservation along the banks of the Missouri River to Fort Thompson, South Dakota, home to both Lakota and Dakota residents. Crow Creek Tribal Chairwoman Roxanne Zazu helped us understand the issues the tribe is facing.
In Crow Creek, we have a shortage of homes. Some of the individuals are having trouble with loans, getting loans through the bank. Also, our roads that come into our reservation and in our communities are very poor. And it's very, to me, it's a safety issue because we do have our buses that haul children to school and then back home again. So the roads are a big concern. I really think that in order to get a good understanding is you need to come. You need to come to the reservations and you need to see firsthand how the people have to live.
Roxanne also explains her fears at an epidemic that faces not only the tribe she represents, but others across the Great Plains region.
This meth, there's going to be no comparison because the meth is, you can see it in people who are using it. It affects their nervous system. I mean, they're twitching, you know, and when I look down the road on these individuals, you know, they're going to be on dialysis. You know, they're going to hurt their other organs in their bodies. There's going to be a health crisis pertaining to this meth. It scares me the heck out of me.
Combating the meth problem puts added stress on Crow Creek's already understaffed law enforcement agency.
One of the problems that we have, big time, we're a very small reservation, we're about 3,200, our law enforcement. We don't have the manpower. We have one officer that has to serve 3 districts, one district being 25 miles away, the other district being 40 miles away. That's just one way.
Similar to Pine Ridge, Roxanne explains how her tribe is finding its own solutions.
we want to become self-sufficient. That's my dream for my tribe, and I hope it can be, for the other leaders as well, and so that we don't need to become dependent upon the federal government, and we don't need to become dependent upon the state. We should be able to fend for ourselves, and I think that's where we need to have that long-term goal in our lives as leaders, is to do it ourselves. We can do it.
Next, we travel to the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. With a land base exceeding 4,000 square miles, Cheyenne River has the same systemic issues as the other tribes, with urgent needs in roads and housing. We met with Ken Little Thunder, administrative officer of the tribe. Ken shares one of his biggest frustrations, watching people seeking assistance but left behind due to criteria issues.
It's kind of hard to tell them to turn them away, and it's all these guidelines that are in place, and I always tell some of the directors, you need to let these people know, these guidelines are hindering providing services to some of the tribal members, and that's something, the thing that me and my assistant, we have a hard time trying to turn these people away, so because we've been in that situation ourselves too, so we know how it is, try to get some help, and they have these guidelines in place why you don't meet the criteria, or there's guidelines here that say that you don't fit the criteria, or all these things that are set there, so frustration.
Last on our journey, we traveled to the Rosebud Sioux Tribe to meet with Tuffy Lunderman, a Rosebud tribal councilman who serves as the chairman of the tribe's education committee. Tuffy took us on a tour of 2 BIA schools, which are in need of new facilities. From unsafe stairs to lead paint, classrooms have been moved inside trailers. Tuffy explains his opinion on why the schools are suffering.
I think, primarily it comes down to funding, and then just a lot of probably some bureaucratic red tape. But the schools have been pretty much neglected. They are BIA facilities, and they're leased to the school district, which is a public school system, so there has to be an agreement there, and I think there's probably some differences over who should be taking care of what, but the problem is that ultimately we're not providing a really good learning environment for our kids, for our students. That's the bottom line. It's important that we stay current, stay up with the times, because you can change so many attitudes. You can create pride in people in the communities if you have a nice school to go to. You can, they will respect it, they will take care of it.
Thank you for joining us in our journey looking at the systemic issues that affect the tribes in the Great Plains tribal region.